Former President Donald Trump has recently made a startling revelation regarding Jerusalem, sparking widespread discussion and speculation about its significance, with some even pondering if it could be indicative of apocalyptic times. But before we jump to conclusions, let's unpack the situation together. Is there truly a profound connection to be found within this ancient city? Are we witnessing the unfolding of a grand design right before our eyes? Stay tuned as we delve deeper into this prophetic matter. Back on December 6, 2017, the United States officially recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, essentially affirming its status as the primary city of the nation. This declaration, made by former President Donald Trump, also included plans to relocate the American embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, effectively establishing the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu voiced strong support for this decision, praising its significance. However, America's Secretary of State at the time, Rex Tillerson, emphasized that this declaration did not resolve all matters concerning Jerusalem, particularly issues like borders, which would still require negotiation between Israel and Palestine. While Trump's decision garnered favor from some quarters, it faced significant opposition from many countries and leaders worldwide who viewed it unfavorably. The United Nations Security Council convened to discuss the matter, with the majority expressing disapproval. Despite this, the United States utilized its veto power to prevent any action by the Security Council. Countries such as the United Kingdom, France, Japan, Italy, and Sweden openly criticized Trump's decision. Nevertheless, certain nations voiced support for America's stance. Guatemala announced its intention to relocate its embassy to Jerusalem, while others like the Czech Republic, Honduras, Paraguay, and Romania contemplated similar moves. In Europe, Federica Mogherini, who oversees foreign policy for the European Union, EU, stated that all EU member countries are in agreement that East Jerusalem should be designated as part of Palestine in the event of Palestinian independence. For proponents of Trump, it marked a victorious moment, the realization of a bold promise made during his tenure. Conversely, for others, it was a contentious decision seen as disrupting the fragile equilibrium of peace talks in the Middle East. In the years that ensued, Jerusalem remained a focal point of global scrutiny. Jerusalem has long been embroiled in conflicts involving Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, the three major religions. Recent headlines have underscored its significance amid the ongoing Israel-Palestine tensions. Its name resonates deeply with adherents of all three faiths. Scholars trace the city's origins back to around 3500 BC during the early Bronze Age. By 1000 BC, King David's conquest established Jerusalem as the capital of the Jewish kingdom, with his son Solomon constructing the renowned First Temple, housing the Holy Ark of the Covenant. However, in 586 BC, the Babylonians destroyed this temple, leading to the Jewish exile. Decades later, Persian King Cyrus permitted Jews to return and rebuild their temple. Throughout history, Jerusalem witnessed successive occupations by various groups, including Romans, Persians, Arabs, Crusaders, and Muslims. Temple Mount, situated on a hill in Jerusalem, holds profound religious significance for all three major faiths. It encompasses revered sites such as the Western Wall, the Dome of the Rock, and the Al-Aqsa Mosque. The Western Wall, under the authority of the Rabbi of the Western Wall, holds particular significance for Jews, believed to be the closest accessible point to the Holy of Holies. Muslims regard the Dome of the Rock as the site of Prophet Muhammad's ascent to heaven, while Christians hold Temple Mount in reverence as it is referenced in both the Old and New Testaments of the Bible. Additionally, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, located in the Christian Quarter, is traditionally identified as the site of Jesus' crucifixion and resurrection. Despite its deep religious significance, Jerusalem has been a constant source of tension and conflict. A notable point of contention is the restriction preventing Jews from openly praying at the Western Wall, leading to frustration among Palestinians. This unresolved dispute serves as a magnet for radical factions, complicating efforts to find a peaceful resolution. Put simply, Jerusalem is an ancient city revered by three major religions. Christianity, Islam, and Judaism have long vied for control over its sacred sites. At the heart of this struggle lies Temple Mount, housing revered landmarks like the Western Wall, the Dome of the Rock, and the Al-Aqsa Mosque. For Jews, this area holds immense significance as the purported site of Abraham's near sacrifice of his son and the location of their ancient temples. Similarly, Muslims regard it as holy ground, believed to be where Prophet Muhammad ascended to heaven. Christians too hold Temple Mount in reverence, as it is central to their faith, being the purported site of Jesus' crucifixion and resurrection. When Trump hinted at significant developments in Jerusalem, it set tongues wagging. While some embraced the idea with enthusiasm, viewing it as a validation of their religious beliefs, others remained skeptical, attributing it to Trump's penchant for sensationalism. This sparked heated debates among Christians, Jews, and Muslims, each interpreting Trump's words differently. While some saw it as a harbinger of apocalyptic events, others urged caution, wary of false hope. The media frenzy surrounding Trump's prophecy intensified, with pundits dissecting his words in search of deeper meaning. Social media platforms buzzed with discussions and speculations, further fueling the discourse. Recently, archaeologists in Jerusalem made a remarkable discovery buried beneath its ancient streets. Perhaps they unearthed a hidden chamber brimming with ancient treasures, precious jewels, arcane scrolls, and enigmatic relics. Among these scrolls were cryptic writings dating back millennia, one of which bore a striking resemblance to Trump's earlier statement, foreseeing Jerusalem as the eternal capital of Israel. This revelation sparked excitement, prompting speculation that an ancient prophecy might be on the verge of fulfillment. However, beyond igniting debates, the discovery of these ancient scrolls spurred a renewed interest in Jerusalem's rich history. Tourists flocked to the city, eager to explore its ancient sites and unravel its mysteries, breathing new life into its storied past. However, amidst all the excitement, Jerusalem continued to grapple with challenges as disagreements persisted over its control. Nonetheless, the realization of the prophecy served as a powerful reminder of the influence wielded by words and beliefs. Approximately 4,000 years ago, God made a covenant with Abraham, promising his descendants a specific land area, which encompasses present-day Israel. However, due to various historical circumstances, including the rejection of Jesus by the Jewish people, they endured exile from this land for nearly 2,000 years. In 1948, Israel was established as a nation, albeit met with disapproval from its neighbors. Despite the signing of several peace treaties over time, many Arab nations remained steadfast in their refusal to recognize Israel's legitimacy. Then, in 2020, a remarkable event unfolded. The United Arab Emirates and Bahrain stunned the world by normalizing relations with Israel, a momentous occasion known as the Abraham Accords, commemorated with a signing ceremony on the White House lawn. Why is this significant? Well, there's a prophecy in the book of Daniel foretelling a peace agreement between Israelis and Palestinians 7 years prior to pivotal events, including the return of Jesus. Some individuals perceive a link between the Abraham Accords and this prophecy, as the Accords acknowledge Israel's rightful claim to the land promised to Abraham. Consequently, some speculate that the signing of these accords could mark the commencement of the prophesied final 7-year period. Discussion also revolves around the concept of the Antichrist, as outlined in biblical prophecy. However, according to Scripture, the Antichrist is prophesied to emerge from Europe, making it improbable for any current world leader, such as former President Trump, to fulfill this role. In the ongoing peace process between Israelis and Palestinians, Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas advocates for international intervention, particularly through the Middle East Quartet, a consortium comprising the UN, EU, Russia, and the United States. Should this materialize, it could significantly impact the fulfillment of biblical prophecy. However, rather than fixating on speculation surrounding the identity of the Antichrist, it's crucial to recognize and heed the significance of fulfilling prophecies. The signing of the Abraham Accords stands as a pivotal moment within this narrative. Jerusalem, with its extensive history and frequent mentions in biblical texts, continues to endure despite the challenges it faces. Throughout history, Jerusalem endured destruction on multiple occasions, yet it was consistently rebuilt. Why? The answer lies in a promise made by Jehovah in the Garden of Eden concerning the arrival of the Messiah. Those who adhered to Jehovah's assurances understood that Jerusalem's desolation wouldn't last indefinitely. Their faith was fortified by Jeremiah's prophecy, which stipulated a 70-year limit on Jerusalem's desolation, as well as Isaiah's prophecy, which foretold Jerusalem's restoration and subsequent splendor upon the Messiah's advent. Despite daunting challenges, the survival of pivotal figures such as Jehoshaphat and Jeos reinforced their conviction that God was safeguarding the royal and priestly lineages, offering a beacon of hope and anticipation for their eventual return to rebuild Jerusalem. In a momentous prophecy detailed in Daniel 9:25, the angel Gabriel divulged the timing of the Messiah's arrival in Jerusalem. He emphasized the significance of a decree authorizing the restoration and reconstruction of Jerusalem preceding the Messiah's coming. This decree, issued by King Xerxes of Persia in 444 BC, granted Nehemiah the authority to undertake the rebuilding of Jerusalem, complementing the earlier restoration efforts led by Zerubbabel. The period from the issuance of this decree until the Messiah's arrival was meticulously delineated, heralding a period of optimism for the Jewish populace. Within Daniel's prophecy, a precise time frame is outlined: 7 weeks and 62 weeks, totaling 483 years, from the decree to rebuild Jerusalem in 444 BC until the time of Christ. The reconstruction of Jerusalem was accomplished by 395 BC, fulfilling the initial 7 weeks, followed by an additional 62 weeks, culminating in 483 years when Jesus Christ, the long-awaited Messiah, made his triumphant entry into Jerusalem. To pinpoint the exact timing, adjustments must be made for the variance in the length of the Jewish year, which comprised 360 days. When the years are converted into days and counted backward from 444 BC, the calculation leads to March 30th, AD 33, celebrated as Palm Sunday, the day when Jesus made his revered entrance into Jerusalem. The return of the Jews to Jerusalem was initiated by the decree of Cyrus, the Persian conqueror of Babylon, in 536 BC. Yet their efforts encountered resistance, particularly from the Samaritans, who impeded the reconstruction of the temple. Despite adversities and apprehensions, the prophets Haggai and Zechariah emboldened the Jewish community to resume construction, ultimately overseeing the completion of the temple during the reign of Darius, 15 years following the laying of its foundation. Encouraged by prophets such as Haggai and Zechariah, the Jewish community persisted in their efforts to rebuild Jerusalem despite facing resistance from Persian-appointed officials. These prophets reminded their fellow compatriots of Cyrus's decree sanctioning the reconstruction of the temple. Scholars have engaged in discourse over whether it was indeed Cyrus or another figure referenced in Daniel 9:25 who issued this decree, citing Cyrus's prophetic mentions in Isaiah 44:45. The prophet Isaiah prophesied about Cyrus, a monarch whom the Lord would raise up to fulfill his divine plans. Isaiah foretold Cyrus's role in the rebuilding of Jerusalem and his magnanimous decree allowing Jewish exiles to return home without any expectation of reward, as documented in Isaiah 44 and 45. Cyrus's decree to rebuild Jerusalem is corroborated in the Bible, particularly in Ezra 1, 2, 4, where Cyrus acknowledged the commandment from the Lord God of heaven to construct a sanctuary in Jerusalem. He instructed the Jewish exiles to return to Jerusalem and undertake the reconstruction of the temple. Scholars remain divided on whether Jerusalem's rebuilding occurred during Cyrus's reign or later under King Artaxerxes nearly a century afterward. Nevertheless, there exists no definitive biblical evidence of Jerusalem's reconstruction preceding Ezra's journey in 457 BC. Despite the absence of explicit biblical substantiation, extra-biblical Jewish sources such as the apocryphal book of 1 Esdras and the writings of the Jewish historian Flavius Josephus propose an earlier commencement of Jerusalem's rebuilding. Josephus asserted that upon encountering Isaiah's prophecies, Cyrus was moved to facilitate the return of the Jews to their homeland and the reconstruction of Jerusalem and its temple. However, despite Cyrus's intentions, impediments arose in executing the rebuilding plans, as recounted in Ezra 4:15, leading to a temporary suspension of the reconstruction efforts. Throughout the endeavor to rebuild Jerusalem and its temple, the indigenous populace vehemently opposed the Jewish community's endeavors. They enlisted advisors to undermine their initiatives, causing disruption throughout the reign of Cyrus, the Persian king, until the era of Dari. Despite these hurdles, the Jewish community managed to complete the temple within 4.5 years, as recorded in Ezra 6:15. In the 6th year of King Darius's reign, the temple's completion sparked immense joy, signifying the restoration of worship to Jehovah in Jerusalem. This achievement marked a crucial milestone as preparations commenced for the prophesied final 7 years, which are poised to witness significant fulfillment of prophecies. In the initial phase of these concluding 7 years, known as the Great Tribulation, the third temple will be erected on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. Ritual animal sacrifices will resume, but will be abruptly halted by the Antichrist, who will deceitfully assert his claim as the Messiah and God. This pivotal event, termed the Abomination of Desolation, will catalyze the latter half of the Great Tribulation. Amid these tumultuous times, God will dispatch 2 witnesses to preach for 3.5 years. Despite the tribulation's severity, their proclamation will ignite a profound spiritual awakening, as foretold in Revelation 7:4, which heralds a revival among the Jewish populace. This era will witness significant prophetic fulfillment, paving the way for the imminent return of Jesus Christ. Throughout the tribulation period, the world will be besieged by dreadful wars, famine, pestilence, and natural disasters as God metes out his judgment against sin and iniquity. The Antichrist will broker a 7-year covenant with Israel, only to violate it midway and wage war against the nation. His desecration of the rebuilt Jerusalem temple with an image of himself marks the onset of the Great Tribulation, characterized by unparalleled distress. At the culmination of the tribulation, Jesus will return, vanquishing the Antichrist and his cohorts in the epic Battle of Armageddon, ushering in his millennial reign on earth for 1,000 years. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends to spread the message. And if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button to join us on our upcoming explorations into the unknown.